All right, class, section 6.2, we're still involved with algebraic fractions, but today we're going to look at how to multiply fractions. And again, it boils down to those rules we learned back in elementary school. And we're going to see for multiplication, if I have A over B times C over D, okay, we usually just multiply the numerators and then multiply the denominators. Okay, pretty easy. Now, we also did learn how to use another little method, a little trick in our bag of tricks. If you remember how to cross cancel when we're working with fractions, it will help us and we won't have as many fractions to reduce. All right, so that would be very important. Another thing I'd like to remind you about is this property we learned back in chapter 4, the rule of exponents for a power of a quotient. If you remember, I've got my parentheses and I've got it raised to m on the outside. And so we saw back in chapter 4 that whatever on the outside of the parenthesis gets applied to everybody on the inside. And so that means we're going to apply it to the numerator as well as the denominator. And again, PEMDAS reigns the day, okay, when we're working with our algebraic expressions. So let's see what that's going to mean for us as we go through and start. If you look at number 1, I just gave us some problems up here with numbers so we could remember how to cross multiply or cross cancel. So if I look at number 1 and I look there, we could multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators and we get some really big numbers. But let's see what we can cross cancel. Do you see something right away? Yeah, that 9 goes into 9 and 9 goes into 18 two times. Yes, now we can cancel out that 2 in the numerator with this 2 in the denominator. Do you see anything else that will cross cancel? Yeah, this 5 is going to go into 5 once and 15 three times. Yeah, now my 3's cancel, and so that conveniently gave us 1. Everything canceled. If I look at number 2, what should I do first? That's right, I reminded you, PEMDAS rules the day, so we should take care of exponents first. Does anybody remember what negative 2 cubed is? Great job, that's negative 8. I'm going to go ahead and put it over 1, and now I'm going to multiply that by 35 over 16. Now, we could multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators, or we can cross cancel. 8 goes into 8 one time. 8 goes into 16 twice. Don't forget that negative sign out there. My answer is going to be negative 35 over 2. And again, Mrs. Burton wants improper fractions. Now, let's go down here. What happens if we throw some letters in? Well, you know it's a number thing and it's a letter thing. Now, here's my little hint for you. I would go ahead and cross cancel my numbers. If we do the number part and we cross cancel the numbers, it works out pretty nicely. Let's see what happens here. I'm going to say that 3 goes into 3 once, and 3 goes into 6 twice, and 11 once, and 11 goes into 22 twice. And now I'm going to go ahead and multiply the numerators together. So we've got 2 times 2, which is 4, AB. And then I go down and I multiply the denominators. Well, the numbers are all gone. It's just ones. And so now I have A cubed B to the 4th. Okay? So I do the number part first, and the last thing I do is the letter part. Now remember, if I have the same letter top and bottom, A divided by A cubed, do you remember what we do? Yeah, that's right. We're going to subtract and we've got a 4 left in the numerator, and we're going to put the bigger number where the exponent was. So it's going to be A squared B cubed. Now, I forgot to mention, they really don't want us to do, we don't have to do restrictions anymore. They're going to give us this little line that says, restrictions are assumed. Okay, which is kind of nice, which means we don't need to state restrictions anymore. All right. Okay, so let's go on and see what happens now. What do you think we should do first? Excellent. We're going to take care of those exponents first. We know that 3 goes to 3 cubed is 27, and then that's going to give me x cubed. And then we've also got to take that cube to the denominator and make that y cubed. And then we're going to multiply by that second fraction. Oh, yeah, you see it right away. Good job. We're going to cross cancel with the 9 and the 27. Now, in the numerator, I'm left with 3x cubed y squared. And in the denominator, I'm left with y cubed. Now, Mrs. Burton, why can't I just go ahead and cross cancel those letters? I promise you, I've been doing this for decades, you will lose somebody in the mix. But if I look here, I've got the same letter top and bottom, y's, so we're going to be left with 3x cubed in the numerator, and then if I subtract my exponents for my y's and put the answer back where the bigger exponent is, that is my final answer. Oh, look at number 5. I expect you to know something. Do you remember how to find the area of a triangle? Do you remember what the formula is? Good job. A equals 1/2 base times the height. So let's go ahead and plug in our values that are given in the story problem. Well, we need the 1/2. It tells me that the base is 25x over 8. And it tells me the height is 4 over 5x. Now look at that a minute. Do you see some things we can cross cancel? Yeah, that 5x can go and become a 1, and this is going to become a 5. 4 goes into 4 once, 8 twice. What's the only thing that's left? Well, in the numerator, I've got 1 times 5, which is 5. In the denominator, I got this 2 times 2, which is 4. Now we're figuring out area, so I need a number, but I also need a unit. What would our unit be? Inches times inches is inches squared. Good job. All right. Now, here we go. Number 6. I'm going to start throwing in some binomials and trinomials. Now, it's very important to be very methodical and go through and look at each part of every fraction. So if I look at number 6 and I look at this numerator, I've got a binomial there. So now we got to go to the honey-do list. Is there any part of the honey-do list that applies? Yeah, there's a GCF. What are we going to factor out? An R. Good job. So I'm left with what? 3 minus t. Now, when I go down here to this denominator, you know, that's a monomial. I really can't do much with a monomial. There's no GCF. It's in simplest form, so I just kind of bring him along for the ride. Times, I go up here, well, that 3's a monomial. He's by himself. So I'm going to bring him along, but look at this denominator. Does anybody recognize what that is? Yes, it's difference of perfect squares. So I know that that's got to be 3 minus t and 3 plus t. So we're back to that idea of let's see what we can factor and see what cancels. So if I look here, what cancels? Well, this 3 minus t is going to cancel out its identical twin in the denominator, 3 minus t, so it's gone. Do you see anything else we can cancel? Yeah, if I look at these numbers, the 3 goes into 3 once, 6 twice. So let's see what we've got. What do we got left in the numerator? We've got an r. And in the denominator, we have what? 2r squared t. And we've still got this 3 plus t. Now, check it out. Just like we did in 6-1, is there any letters that are the same top and bottom? Yeah, those r's are the same. So what do? That's right. We subtract and put the answer back where the bigger exponent is. So we're going to be left with a 1 in the numerator, 2rt times 3 plus t. Great job. Okay, let's go over here and look at number 7. If we look at number 7, remember we've got to look at each part of each fraction and figure out what needs to be factored. I'm going to go ahead and put that over 1. So here, that 2y can't really do anything to him. He's a monomial in lowest terms. If I look at that denominator, good job. I have a GCF. It's going to be 3 and what? 3y. So I'm left with what? Y plus 5. And then we're going to go over here. In this numerator of GCF again, what is it? 3y. What's left? What are the factors that remain? We've got y squared minus 25, and this is over 1. Ah, good job. Did you recognize that we need to factor just a little bit more? Do you remember what this is? Difference of perfect squares. So that's going to be y plus 5 and y minus 5. And so now, what can we cancel? Well, do you realize the 3 y's can go? And then we've got y plus 5 and y plus 5. So what's left in the numerator? 2y. And then we've got y minus 5. And it looks like everything canceled out in the denominator. Good job. So we're going to find out there's going to be a whole lot of factoring going on when we go through and do these problems. Let's look at number 8. Oh yes, we're going to have to factor the numerator. If I factor that numerator, is there GCF? Nope. How many terms are there? 3. How do we factor 3 terms? Yeah, we're going to have to X factor. So let's see. We've got the factors of 2, which are 1 and 2. The factors of x squared, which are x and x. What do I know about my signs? Yep, one has to be plus and one has to be minus. And then factors of 3 are going to be 3 and 1. Okay, let's x factor and see if we've chosen wisely. We're going to cross multiply, so x times negative 1 is negative 1x. 3 times positive 2x is 6x. Hey, guess what? We did it. The middle checks. So my numerator is going to be x plus 3 and 2x minus 1. And then I've got x plus 2. That's a binomial, but it's in lowest terms, times. Now we're over here. Yeah, we got a GCF. We're going to factor out a 9, and we're left with x plus 2. And then in the denominator, we got 1 minus 2x. Ah, somebody sees it already. Good job. What can I cancel out? Well, that x plus 2 is gone. Yes, did you realize that this and this are opposites? So we're going to have that negative 1 thing going on. So what's left in my numerator? Well, I'd bring my negative sign down, and then we've got a 9, and then we've got x plus 3. Great job. Good detectives. Good eyes. Okay, let's let this be the last one we're going to do. We've got a lot of factoring going on again, all right? So I'm going to give you a few minutes, and I'm going to let you try factoring it on your own. Let's see what happens. Now, when you think you're done factoring, go ahead and look up front at mine and see if yours matches mine as we went through and factored all those. How'd we do? Good? All right, now, let's check it out. Have we factored completely? Nice call. Did you realize right here that this was difference of perfect squares? So this is going to become 2a plus 3 and 2a minus 3. Good job. Who saw that? Good. Okay, so now we can start canceling. So what can we cancel? Well, I've got a minus 6 in the numerator and a minus 6 in the denominator over here. I've got 2a minus 3 and 2a minus 3. And it looks like that might be it. Oh, did you see it? Good. Did you realize we have an A here and we have an a squared over there. So this one's going to cancel. So what's left in my numerator? Well, I've got a minus 1, and we've got 2a plus 3. In the denominator, we have 1a left there, and then we've got a minus 4. Great job. Now, homework's going to take a little bit of time. I would definitely say long and drawn out, but you should be an expert by factoring by now. So let's give it a try, and we'll check answers tomorrow. You can start your homework now.